Welcome back to Nigeria 2015. We're coming to you live from our studios in Lagos. Now let's get into this today. Alhaji, again, thank you for coming on tonight.
It's a pleasure, thank you.
What did you think of the INEC chairman's presentation today?
I think the INEC chairman's presentation cleared a lot of, misconceptions, prejudices, and misgivings about the card reader. I think when people were acting purely on emotion or other ulterior motives when they campaigned against the use of the card reader. Number one, many of them failed to even understand what a card reader is. And even some members of the National Assembly said, look, that using the card reader is synonymous with electronic voting. The card reader is simply to complement the PVC in accreditation and ensure that only one person votes only once. So it's not the voting itself. Card reader is not used for voting, but it's used just for the purpose of accreditation. Two, people said, oh, what happens if the card reader does not work? Because the card reader will work for the following reasons. One is battery powered. And when fully charged, it has a lifespan of 14 hours. Accreditation, maximum time accreditation takes between 4 and 6 hours. Therefore, there's no fear as to whether the battery would be, flat by the time accreditation, finishes. Then another argument was, what happens if the card reader does not work? And the INEC, at one of the meetings we attended, assured us that they have redundancy and that in every ward there are extra, card readers. And if you know that a ward is just a cluster of polling units, which means you can get to any polling unit from the ward within 15-20 minutes. And don't just forget that card reader had been used successfully in Kenya, in Sierra Leone, and in Ghana. And that even when it was being used in Sierra Leone, our own INEC provided, technical support and advice in Sierra Leone. So why are we afraid of using the card reader? Because with the card reader, you are sure that at least of three things. One, that if your card is not issued by INEC, the card reader will not read it. If it is a clone card, it will not read it. If it's not issued at that particular polling unit, it will not read it. So with the card reader, you can be sure that it's only those who possess INEC cards issued by INEC at the polling units that it will read. Of course, the fact that the INEC, the first stage of the card reader is simply that you put it in, it will download your details, your names, your age, and your picture. But as further proof to authenticate that it's yours, then you go to the second stage, which is you try to activate it with your finger, with your fingerprints. And in the very unlikely event, because it's possible that it might not, that your fingers might not activate it. I have traveled abroad several times, and I get to Heathrow Airport, I get to Dubai, and they ask me to, authenticate my biometrics. It does not work. Once, twice, 3 years, I'm asked to sit down, then finally it works. Now, but we must definitely move forward. I've had some very specious arguments that we should go back and use TVCs. Of course, many of us don't even have TVCs again because we have exchanged them for PVCs.
Okay, we'll come to that particular point in just a moment, but let me go to Chief Olisametu, who is in our studios in Abuja. Let me ask you as well, the same question. What did you think of the chairman of INEC's presentation today in the Senate?
Our party completely has no problem with the card reader. We have no problem with PVCs. We have no problem with the presentation done by the INEC chairman. I think it was impressive. I think he did quite well. However, on the technical aspect, we are concerned about the time allotted to vote. We have a certain we have 5 to 8 hours for accreditation. We have approximately 6 hours for accreditation till 1 p.m. Now, how do you get, if what the INEC chairman displayed today, if we have to go by it, it means that it takes about a minute for each person to go through the PVCs, the application of it. That means 60 people in an hour. Times 5 is 300 people. A polling station takes about 500 people. The INEC chairman has argued that that it is possible that they'll get this down to 30 seconds per individual. Supposing it doesn't work, supposing it takes that 1 minute, and you're dealing with people who have not used it before, and the process of using it, that is one aspect of that. So as long as they can satisfy that, our party, we are happy completely with the process. Anything that will promote credible elections, we're for it. However, we are also concerned that, especially with what he said, we had written a letter to INEC. We are working on the premise of some information that we have, that especially in some areas, it is possible that these PVCs will not really, I don't want to use the word programmed, I rather say will not work on that day, and they will postpone the election to the next day. It depends on where it happens. That will be a great disadvantage to some candidate. This is coming especially at the background of what happened with the distribution of the PVCs. We did raise an issue with the distribution of PVCs about certain states, in some select states, where non-indigens were not, couldn't get their PVCs. We were criticized, we were insulted, we were called irresponsible by our friends on the other side. However, we're very much, we were vindicated when the Lagos State INEC Commissioner, Mr. Rebi, made a statement and said they have discovered that some staff of INEC, he said ad hoc, but that still staff of INEC had participated in denying certain people, non-indigens, their PVCs in some select states, and they did sack those people. What happens if some INEC staff